let's hear it again for Edwin, because that is really an incredible piece of artwork he's got here. First of all, I want to thank Heather for inviting me to speak today and to get to be part of this beautiful ceremony. And looking at these pictures, I know everybody except for one person up there. So it really is brings up a lot of great memories that I've had working with Urban Ministry Center over the last 10 years. And so just for people who don't know me, I first started as a volunteer at Urban Ministry Center, actually in the shower, working at the shower desk with Janetta Lambert. And those were great days. I learned so much about the organization, and it was really, I had been here in Charlotte for just a couple of months at that point and wanted to get connected in the community. I did that, I worked in the mailroom, and then I was lucky enough to be part of the launch of More Place and got to be a social worker there and then became a program coordinator there and just got to work with so many great people over the years, colleagues, tenants, neighbors. Urban Ministry Center has really changed my life. And so I want to ask a couple of questions. The first one's pretty standard right now, and the second one's maybe a little bit from left field. But to start out with, just a show of hands, whose life has been changed through a relationship or new connection they've made at Urban Ministry Center? Okay. All right, so a lot of hands went up in this room. Okay, now I've got another question. This one, just hang with me. This will make sense. Who here is a fan of John Wayne or Western movies? Okay, all right, I got a pretty good show of hands there too. And so now I'll give some context. The person I'm speaking about is the gentleman whose face is in the top left corner, and his name was William Montgomery. And I met William whenever I was a social worker at More Place. And he moved in, I think it was within the first 6 months of More Place opening. He was actually brought to More Place by Janetta Lambert, who I'm sure many of you know Janetta over the years through her work at Urban Ministry Center and the Men's Shelter. But William and I would really connect when I would do visits to his apartment, and we would watch Western movies together, John Wayne, we would watch Lifetime TV, we'd watch all the daytime TV shows, and that was really how we first kind of connected. So Mr. Montgomery had been through a lot in his life. He had traveled all up and down the eastern seaboard, had mostly grown up in Charlotte, but tragically had experienced about a decade of homelessness before coming to More Place, and so had gone through a lot of traumatic experiences. And by the time he got to More Place, he really struggled with memory. And so we would meet each other again and again, and each time he would need to ask, well, remind me of your name. And so I would go back through it, and I would tell him, well, I'm Robert, I work down the hallway, and I just want to come by and catch up with you. And then we'd go back to watching our shows together. We'd kind of make small talk. He'd talk about how his mom loved John Wayne so much, and it made his dad jealous. So we got to know each other in this kind of different way. But as his health declined at More Place, he eventually had to move to a more supportive level of care. And we kept the connection going with Urban Ministry Center staff during that time. So we always made sure that we would be able to go and connect with them, spend time together. And his kindness and his humanity came through at every moment along the way. So even though there was not always the recognition or the memory of who I was or even his surroundings, he would always, that spark of kindness and compassion came through. And I think that's really what we can all hope to embody. None of us can know for sure how life is going to change us, how our bodies or our minds may change, but we can all know that at the end, if we can offer kindness and compassion to each other, then we can make the world a little better place. And Mr. Montgomery certainly did that. Housing at the end of his life gave him the chance to have dignity. We can't always guarantee, housing does not prevent the challenges that come with life, but we can ensure that if everyone has a home, they will have a safe place to live and have those basic needs met. And so, Edwin, I think this is a beautiful tribute to so many people who have changed so many lives in Charlotte, and I know Mr. Montgomery really changed mine. So thank you all. Thanks for the time to get to speak about him today, and I will pass it either back to Heather or I will